Are you trying to get rid of your ego? Are you scared of your shadow? A lot of people in personal growth and development talk about the ego and the shadow as things that we need to get rid of, or things that are evil, or things that are like, this is why my life is so messed up, because I have all this ego and shadow problems. And I've been talking a lot about relationships, about masculine and feminine therapy, about bringing in the masculine and feminine into you, and how you communicate with others using masculine and feminine energies. And a lot of it has been around communication, around being able to talk to anybody else who you're in a relationship with, whether that's romantic, business, family, etc. And in this video, I want to talk about how kind of maybe misunderstood some particular concepts are. A lot of people will talk about oh, you have to get rid of your ego, you can't have an ego, or you have to face your shadow and you have to, run from it and fear it, and you can't let it be a part of your life. Saturn energy, oh no, you're gonna die. It's not truly like that. I'm Sabrina with Begin Being, and before you can be in a relationship with someone else, there are 4 things you need to understand about yourself. 1 is your ego. When Dr. Carl Jung was really studying, and when Jung was talking about the shadow and the ego and all of that, it's actually just a part of us. So what happens is when we're developing, when we're young, we have no real sense of self. When we're a child, we don't really know that we are separated from the world. In fact, in a part of development, so one of the classes that I took going to school, getting my degree in psychology, was child development. And one of the things that we learned in that class was how the child develops, the different stages through development. And there's a certain point to where a child actually does not realize that they're separate from the world. There's actually a certain point, it's really cute to think about, that the child thinks all of their thoughts, all of everything within them, everyone else has the same thing. Everything outside of them is them. And I say it's cute because it's actually true. It's actually more so like other people look at this and they think, oh, well, the child is just not developed yet. You have to go through certain things. You have to realize that you are separate from the world. Really, the child has it closer to actual reality, which is we are all one. We're not separate from the world. To the child, though, they think when they have a thought, you have a thought as well. Which is interesting because when children are, young children are trying to communicate with their parents, the child in their mind, they don't quite understand why the parent doesn't understand they're hungry or they're this or they're that, because they think you should know what they think, because what you think is what they think and what they think is what you think. Yes, I just said that. So when as the child goes through the different developmental phases, what happens is the child then starts to go, there is actually an external world outside of me, and that external world is different than my internal world. So they first start to develop what Jung and other psychologists refer to as an ego. I think what a lot of the personal growth and development and spiritual type communities, new age communities, those type of things, sometimes it's the ego has been almost mistranslated or miscommunicated as the word egotistical. In other words, it's almost as if people are taking the concept or the word ego and they're putting it into a different concept or word which is more egotistical, and describing people who are run by their ego in a way that they are egotistical, in a way that they don't care about others, or in a way that they're letting their ego become so large that they think that they are the one. They are the all, they are the almighty, they are the thing, they're it. That is a different energy than talking about your ego. When you're developing as a child and you realize, whoa, there's an external world out there, and not everyone thinks and feels and acts the way I do. Not everyone has the same thoughts as me. When you begin to realize that, that's the formation of your ego. Your ego is simply who you are. It's just you. So you can't get rid of your ego. You can't not stop. You can't stop having an ego. You can't not have an ego. Your ego is just you. It's your base personality. It's everything about you. And then as sort of time goes by, in order for your conscious mind and your unconscious mind to be able to process information, be able to take in information, in order to know who you are, you also have to know who you are not. That's the development of the shadow. And you can watch it happen in little kids. So in little kids, they'll just be going along. They might go to school one day and they are wearing the most interesting, fabulous outfits because they don't care. They don't care that they're supposed to have your stuff matching. They don't care about any of that. They have their toys everywhere because they don't know about feng shui. They don't know about energy. They know about energy in a certain way, but they don't know having messy rooms means that it can affect your energy, and clutter and stuff like that. They don't know all of these things. They're just simply being. They're just simply in a state of being. And they also don't know what they're not. So little boys will play with little girls, and there's not that separation. Now the energy of this is changing. So when I was younger, when I was in school, child, there was this weird thing that kind of happened in elementary school to where boys and girls, they played together. They, no one knew that you were a boy or you were a girl. You'll go to the bathroom with your mom, you'll go to the bathroom with your dad. You don't have to go to a special bathroom, or there's no, nowadays they have unisex bathrooms. They really didn't have that much when I was a little kid. So like I said, things are starting to change, but when I was a kid, when I was little, you just go wherever your parents went. It didn't matter that it was the wrong bathroom or anything like that. If you were a little girl, you were dressed in dresses. Boys weren't dressed in dresses, but you didn't notice and you didn't care. And then something happens. You start to develop that ego, and in order to develop that ego, which is who you are, you then have to develop what you are not, which is your shadow. And the second thing you need to understand about yourself is your shadow. Your shadow is simply what you are not. So for me, when I was a little girl, I resonate with being feminine. I resonate with being a girl. I resonate with being a woman. I resonate with the feminine energy. So for me, all of a sudden I started realizing, oh, girls go to this bathroom. Girls wear dresses. Girls paint their nails. Girls do certain things that boys don't do. Boys, they're different. Boys do other things. Now, there were certain things that I really loved. I was sometimes a little bit of a tomboy. I loved playing with, I had neighbors who were boys. I would play G.I. Joe with them and, stuff like that. So it wasn't as if there was this, I can't do this, or I can't play in this certain way. I still played war and, stuff like that with them. Interestingly, they never played Barbies with me. Now that I think about it, it's kind of messed up, but they never, I'm just kidding. But seriously, they didn't play Barbies with me. I would play boy stuff with them, but they never played girl stuff with me. But you see what I mean though? We're starting to realize, the boys started to realize, I can't play Barbies. I can play with my G.I. Joe action figures because they're action figures, but Barbies, no, that's girl stuff. And you realize what you are not. So then I couldn't go in the boys' bathroom because I'm not a boy. That's the development of the shadow. I didn't have that, I can't play with the G.I. Joe, or we had those fake guns, and so we'd go around playing army or whatever. Or we would play like cowboys and Indians. That was a thing back then. I loved being the Indian because I thought the cowboys were stupid. But anyway, so we developed these different things to where it's a separation. It's a not me. That's all your shadow is. It's a not me. So it's nothing to fear. It's nothing to be like afraid of. It's nothing to be like, oh, I have to face my shadow because my shadow is like horrible or whatever. Now you do have to keep these in harmony. What I mean by that is what you are, your ego, can sometimes get out of harmony. And that's what you hear people talking about being egotistical, to where it's like, look at me, I'm fabulous. I am the one who, like, worship me, do what I say, right? That's when it can become a little bit too much. And that's when you have to harmonize it with the ability to be humble. So humbleness harmonizes egotisticalness. So you can go to the extremes. So some people, yes, they go more into that egotistical, like, you have to do what I say, you have to follow me, my way is the best way. And then some people kind of go a little bit too far into the humbleness, to where even if they do something absolutely amazing, they should be praised, they should be proud of it, they should be recognized for what they did, or for who they're being, or something that maybe they accomplished, or the things that they brought to the world, gifts that they brought to the world. Instead, sometimes what can happen is you can become so humble that you reject that. You become so humble that you reject any kind of praise, any kind of basking in your moment. And when you reject basking in your moment, what you're actually doing is telling the universe, I don't want this. I don't want more of this. So you can actually be rejecting an energy that's actually very good and helpful, not just for you, but for the world as a whole. So if you do something, if you create something, like say you're an artist and you paint this absolutely amazing painting, it's so beautiful, and you get it hung up in this gallery and you're like, oh, I made it, I did it, like, look at it, it's beautiful, it's like, look where I'm at, and you're telling your friends and family, like, my painting, it got hung in this gallery and I'm so excited. There's a difference between that, like being proud of yourself, versus yes, so my painting is in this particular gallery and your painting is not, because your painting is not, like, I think you suck. That's a different energy. Now watch this. This is also a different energy. Yeah, well, I got my painting in this really famous gallery, and well, why haven't you told anybody? I don't want to put it on social or announce it or anything. I mean, it's there and that's cool, but that energy of almost like rejecting your accomplishment tells the universe, it tells your source, I don't know if this person really wants that. And then you're going inside and you're like, man, I got my painting in this really famous gallery. Like, I thought I was gonna make a commission off of it. I thought I was doing really good. I thought maybe I was gonna get invited to more galleries. And now I'm not. Like, now the energy stopped. Because what had happened was you ended up stopping the flow. You stopped your manifestation. You stopped the energy. So again, there's this balance, there's this harmony between going too far into being egotistical and going too far into being humble, to where you're not even like recognizing your own accomplishments. And then there's this middle piece of knowing who you are, of being proud of yourself and your accomplishments, and being able to celebrate it and being able to rejoice when you experience a win. Just being proud of yourself or being happy with yourself about it, experiencing your win. Because what sometimes will happen is people will experience a win. Maybe they'll get like a new client. Maybe they'll get into a new relationship and they'll get that win and like, yes, oh, I made it, I did it. Oh, but you know what? Sometimes when good things happen like this, then a bad thing will happen. Sometimes, like if I get something good like this, then I need to like step away from it because something bad's about to happen after that. That's the energy you're bringing in when you're rejecting your accomplishment, when you're rejecting your success. So some of the ways to be able to harmonize your ego and to harmonize that feeling of being humble with the feeling of being like proud of yourself is gratitude. Have gratitude for what you accomplished. Remain humble about being in the gallery. You don't have to go and rub it in people's faces. And be grateful that your painting got put in that gallery. Be grateful that you got that new client. Be grateful and happy that you're in that new relationship, and share your gratitude with others, because so there's a thing to where others can affect your energy as well. So if you come out at like, haha, I'm in a relationship. Oh, you're still single? I mean, that kind of like, that sucks, but you'll get into a relationship one day. You'll do it. But me, he's so fabulous. Like, oh my God, you won't imagine how fabulous he is. There's a difference between that and being like, hey, I gotta just tell you some exciting news. So I just got into this new relationship and he's really amazing, or she's really amazing. And just sharing your gratitude and your joy. I just got this new client. I've never been paid so much in this situation before. Like, I've never had this high of a paying client before. I scored this huge client, and let me tell you, this is gonna take my coaching to the next level, or this is gonna take my consulting to the next level. With your shadow, it's the same thing. Is your shadow harmonized? So again, your shadow, it's just the not you. When your shadow becomes disharmonized, whenever it gets out of harmony, what can happen is you go to the extreme. So an example of this is someone who, like, let's say they're a Christian, and let's say that they are completely against abortion. So the not them is someone who would get an abortion. The not them is someone who runs abortion clinics. So to them, abortion's wrong. Like, you shouldn't get an abortion. That's completely inappropriate. You're going to hell, whatever their belief system is. It's basically like a no. It's a not them. So anyone involved, whether it's political, making policies, whether it's the doctors giving the abortions, whether it's the person getting the abortions, all of them is the shadow. It's the not them. Now, they are perfectly right, like, as in it's perfectly fine for them to have those beliefs. You might not believe the same, but it's free country, right? America. So, and if you're listening, you're not in America, we have laws and rules and regulations that say you're supposed to be able to have your own beliefs. That in no way means you have to believe what the other person believes. It's just every person has a right to have their own belief system, their own beliefs. Now, when the shadow gets out of balance, it becomes the person who, say, like, bombs sets up a bomb in an abortion clinic. And say this person, like, set off a bomb, or maybe they caused a fire or something like that, and then there were people in the clinic and the people passed away. The whole reason why they're against abortion is because they're against, like, killing. They believe that the soul should come in and the person should live. And so they think that if you kill the baby when it's still in the if you kill the fetus when it's still in the womb, that you're killing, like, a person, you're killing a soul. So with their belief system, what they're trying to do is prevent that child from dying. And when your shadow becomes so out of harmony, then sometimes you actually end up being the one either to support killing or to maybe like be a part of doing the killing. Like I said, someone who is so far in their belief system that they think they can do whatever it takes to shut the abortion clinic down, and so they go and they set off a bomb. And they end up becoming their shadow. They end up becoming what they don't want to be because they're so far into it. If there's not that harmony with your shadow, then like I said, sometimes you go too far and you actually become the very thing that you're fighting against. Now, how to harmonize your shadow is to realize what triggers you in other people. So what is it that other people are doing that triggers something inside you? For me, for example, like the not me is someone who is not healthy. So there's health on a physical level, emotional level, mental level, and spiritual level. I'm going to specifically talk about health on a physical level at the moment. So what is like the not me is someone who doesn't eat healthy, who like eats fast food all the time, who like doesn't take care of their physical body, like doesn't work out, or who doesn't go out in nature. And for me, that's extremely important. And the reason why is because when you're taking care of your physical body, it then helps you to be able to take care of all of your other bodies as well. It's like your foundation. And if you don't have a strong foundation in a house, for example, like if you build in, so currently I live in Texas, and in parts of Texas, the ground is very porous, like there's a lot of clay in the ground. And so if you don't build a good foundation, you get a ton of cracks. Like you get cracks in your foundation, cracks in your ceiling, your walls, stuff like that. So you have to make sure and build a good foundation. And if you don't have that, then like I said, it affects your whole structure. So for a human, that your physical body is affecting your other bodies, your emotional body, your mental body, and your spiritual body. So to me, taking care of your physical vessel is extremely important. And so if I see someone, and I honestly do a lot of nature therapy, so I'm very one of those people who like, I have to get out into nature. I have to go for walks. I have to connect with the water. I have to sometimes connect with mountains. I have to like connect with nature. And this was actually like really, really early on in my life. I actually thought about that the earth is like a vitamin. Like I was like vitamin E, like a capital E, like vitamin E, or maybe it was little e, whatever. I came up with this whole thing when I was young. But it was like this whole thing about earth being an energy and being a vitamin, and it's like you need to be in connection with nature. And so with that, if someone is so unhealthy that they can't make it out into nature, to me, I'm like, oh, that's not okay. Like that's not good. That's not good for you. That's not healthy for you. And people who don't take care of their physical body, they end up with all these different health problems and stuff like that. And so that's like the not me. Now, along with that though, it's not like a shadow problem. That is the not me. And it's not a shadow problem because people who are in that type of situation, I'm not going around being triggered by it all the time. I'm not looking at somebody who maybe is like obese and I see them and maybe they are at the store on those little scooter type things. To me, in my mind, I'm like, it's kind of sad. Like I get like oh man, like you look so young. Like I want to help that person. I want to like be like, hey, do you want me to give you like some, you want to come work out with me kind of thing? if it was a problem, I would be like, oh, you know, like, you look so young. Like I want to help that person. I want to like be like, hey, do you want me to give you like some, you want to come work out with me kind of thing? If it was a problem, I would be like, There's another obese person. Like, that person's gonna drain our healthcare system because of all the problems that I'm gonna have to pay for. Or I might be like, hey fatty, get off your, okay, that's too mean, I can't say that. But I would have that type of thing of like, to where it would be triggering me if I saw something like that. Now, from a psychology perspective, people don't necessarily want to be like that. There's something that's going on with them in the background. So perhaps they were taught as a kid to eat your emotions. In other words, like, if you're feeling bad, you want to consume more food. There's all sorts of things that could be happening. Perhaps they were told when they were younger by parents that they weren't pretty enough, or that they, sometimes the parents will say stuff like, oh, you need to get up because you're too lazy. And that creates these different traumas inside of them, creates maybe some baggage, some limiting beliefs. They might have a limiting belief that they ever can be fit. And sometimes when you go so far, you have these different mental and emotional things happening with you, maybe different types of depression and stuff like that. Then sometimes you actually develop a belief that you can't be healthy. Some people develop beliefs that they're not worthy of being healthy. So I look at it from a psychology perspective, going, okay, there is something within them that's causing the behavior of either like overeating or, not getting off the couch or whatever it may be. So I look at them from the perspective of, that could be me. That there's a possibility, like there is a possibility in my life. Like, I went through, if you've watched some of my other videos, I went through a childhood that wasn't exactly like the best childhood. I could have developed there's different types of eating disorders. I could have developed an eating disorder to where I was like bulimic. I could have developed an eating disorder to where I ate my emotions and I didn't care about my body. So for me, being non-judgmental is one of the ways that you can harmonize your shadow, to where instead of like judging that person, you can then think, that could have been me. There are paths that I could have taken to where that could be me. Another way for you to like recognize the shadow is, like I said, if you're getting triggered by it. So if I saw a person who's not healthy, they're standing in that fast food line and I'm going like, you don't need those French fries, girl. If I'm standing there in the line like thinking that, or I see somebody, ordering something and I'm thinking, I'm being judgmental, that is a cue for me that I need to work on me. It's not that they need to work on themselves. There might be something going on. And it might just be, or it's always, no matter what, even if they do, it's always, I need to work on me. Even if you're judging somebody for being egotistical. So that's kind of sometimes what will happen in this type of community is you'll see someone who is maybe doing or saying something, like just being this person who's narcissistic or, anything like that. And then that's not you. So you judge that person and you have that shadow projection on them. They're triggering you. That's when you know your shadow's out of harmony. Because if you can look at that person and you can think, okay, well, going into their psychology, it's possible that they're narcissistic because that's their only way of defending themselves, because maybe they grew up with a childhood to where it wasn't safe for them to like really show their emotions, or it wasn't safe for them to do X, Y, or Z. So they put on this front. So your ego is who you are. Your shadow is who you are not. So those are the first two keys into understanding yourself, so that you can be better in relationships with others, whether that's with a romantic partner, a business partner, a family member. Anytime you're interacting with other people, if you yourself are working on yourself, it helps those other reactions to be better. So I filmed this video a while back, as you can probably see by the long sleeves and I'm in my old office. And so When I first filmed the video, I expected it to be a pretty short, pretty simple video. And like a lot of my videos, it took on a life of its own and became something so much more than what I had originally intended. What that means though, is that it turned into an hour-long video. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they will see the hour long and they'll be like, I'm not watching this, bye-bye. So I decided to go ahead and cut it into 2 separate videos. So you've now got to see part 1, and please join me next week for part 2. Now, if you're not watching this when it first comes out, part 2 for you might already be out. If that's so, then I'll put the I'll put the link in the description below and you can click on that. So in part 2, we will find out about the 3rd and 4th piece that you're missing from this video. Personally, I think part 2 is even better because it talks more about some stuff that is not normally discussed. So the ego, the shadow, most people know what they are. Most people have at least heard of them and there's discussions about them. But the second part of this video talks about something that not a lot of people talk about. When Jung was describing all of the stuff about the ego and the shadow, there's another piece to it, which I find to be extremely valuable, especially when you're looking into yourself and when you're looking to be able to relate with others. So I can't wait for all of you to watch part 2. And for those of you who love cliffhangers, you are welcome. For those of you who are like, Sabrina, I would have just rather watched the hour, please forgive me, I apologize. All right, see you next time, and always remember to choose love in all that you do. Mahalo.